Hello, I am the Nerdum, or King of the Nerdum. I don't really know what I'm calling myself yet, but that is besides the point. If you came here from the short, welcome. And if not, welcome nonetheless. This is going to be a very stock standard video. Zero editing, zero flash cuts, zero stimulus, just me reading this script right here as best I can. Anyway, right to it. I've been wanting to be on the Overwatch character design team for a while now. So much so that I play a game at work where I generate a random word in a random role and make a character using that as a starting point, and have made so far just over 20 characters doing so. In this video, I will be going through just a few of those characters. Now, keep in mind that the random word is just a starting off point for my thoughts. The end result can end up being connected to said words very, very loosely. And another note before we start, I feel basic weapon fire can be tacked on pretty easily afterward, so some of these may not have a primary fire just yet. And with that out of the way, let's start with one of my favorites, Support Mirror. I'll just get right to where I first landed here, and with this one it just so happened to be their primary fire. Now this character has one or two of what I've been calling crests that hover over their shoulders. They fire in a similar way to Zenyatta primary fire, with their crest healing or damaging respectively. But when their crest makes contact with anyone, it reflects back to this mirror support, and if you time their primary fire correctly, this character can then reflect the crest back out. And each successful reflection increases the crest's healing or damage up to a set maximum. Then on to their abilities. Starting with an ability that uses miniature crests held along their belt or something that they can toss onto an ally that then splits all damage taken by either you or the target between the two of you. So if someone gets stuck by a pulse bomb or your tank gets solo grabbed, you can throw this crest onto them for a quick save. Then their second ability, pretty simple, takes their crest from above their shoulder and slams it down on the ground in front of them for a large AoE burst of damage. And finally, their ultimate. This character throws a crest onto all allies in front of them within range that gives them a shield barrier of about 150 or so HP, while active also gives them a significant passive heal. Next was a tank I got a bit of help from my partner with. Goodness. Tank Narrow. For this one, I started with their ultimate. Their ultimate fires a very fast, low damage beam forward that after about a quarter to half a second, pulls all enemies into it. So for instance, if you're playing down a corridor and the enemy team has players hiding in rooms off to the side, you fire this beam down said corridor and all unobstructed enemies within 5 or so meters of the beam get grabbed to it, lining everyone up in front of them. Great for lining up the perfect Sundering Blade or Molten Core. Next up, Ability 1. You activate this ability, then click either right or left click, and it just boops all enemies in front of you within its range, left or right respectively. And their final ability, to have a bit of synergy with their own ultimate, sends a wave along the ground, rising up about 1.5 meters, like Fire Strike, or Projected Edge, passes through all enemies, dealing damage on the way through. Next on my list for now is another support. Support Sit. This one took me a bit because sitting is a stationary action, but Overwatch is very much not a stationary kind of game, though I very much like where it ended up. For their first ability, they can toss it onto an ally, and it works in one of two ways. Either you can reactivate it within a small window to give them a burst of healing. So for instance, you see a Vendetta throw a Soaring Slice above a wall into the enemy backline. You toss this onto her, and if you see her health drop, you can give her a quick heal burst. Now it's either that or the teammate can crouch or sit for maybe a quarter second to activate the heal burst themselves. Their second ability would be a stance change on a 2 or 3 second cooldown. This stance would slow them drastically while providing a burst of healing or overhealth, and would shift their first ability from a defensive one to an offensive one, where it does the same thing, but instead of healing an ally, it damages enemies instead. This stance change would also increase the fire rate of their primary fire by a not so insignificant amount. And lastly, for support sit, is their ultimate. Activating this gives the character flight to see the entire battlefield, and from above, they have a left and right click. Both clicks throw down what is essentially like Lifeweaver's Sow the Seed, but without the speed boost. But left click throws one big heal package, while right click would throw maybe 5 or 6 in a small radius. And finally, I know you DPSers have been waiting ever so patiently, so here you are. DPS activity. I'll start off with their primary fire. It's a simple staff that shoots a single fire hit scan or projectile shot. Then to their first ability, which is actually the first thing I thought of for this character. For an activity, I thought of board games. And for a board game, I thought of chess. This ability lets you move as a knight. You use your staff to pole vault yourself into the air and in the direction you are moving. Then if you press the ability again, you launch a second time in a different direction input by the player, gaining significantly less height, but about 3 times the horizontal distance as the first launch. Then their second ability, similar to Pyra and Smash Ultimate if you know that, they throw their staff in front of them and it spins, horizontally though instead of vertically, while hovering in place. Perhaps on a resource meter. I don't know how that would work exactly. And for the final ability of this video, their ultimate. Back to thinking about chess just slightly, their ultimate would create square sections on the ground, either in a set pattern, randomly, or quickly chosen by the player, that act as devastating traps for anyone who is unlucky enough to find themselves walking over one of these death chess squares. And that's it for part 1 of this series. I will come back eventually for part 2, and I'll come back quicker if you tell me how much you love my ideas. Now thank you for watching. Now go out and be better, because we can always be better.